There is an uncomfortable contradiction sitting at the heart of modern paganism and spirituality that this video explores. Many speak of honoring the land with one breath while leaving behind plastic as an act of respect. Practitioners call places sacred while covering trees in synthetic ribbons whose plastic threads will outlive our grandchildren. Pagans pour alcohol and food into polluted rivers, leave paraffin candles and wax in ancient monuments, and tie polyester clooties to hawthorn branches in the name of reverence. Somewhere along the line, many practitioners inherited the language of devotion without inheriting the understanding of an equal relationship. It raises the question, do people really believe that the land and spirits appreciate this? The rise of ritual litter. Walk around enough sacred sites in Britain and it becomes visible everywhere. Faded ribbons twisting and flapping in the wind. Headlights melted onto stonework. Plastic and crystals tucked into tree roots and rock nooks. Food offerings left beside wells attract rats and insects. Symbols painted onto Neolithic stone in the name of the gods of the Instagram algorithm. Countless visits have been made to the beautiful Bryn Dun on Ynys Môn by concerned pagans only for inappropriate and damaging offerings to be found there, and these sites are regularly cleaned. As uncomfortable as this is, the preservation of the sacred location is considered far more important than the meaning behind the offering. Visits often end with bags of offerings destined for recycling only for the same problem to return later. Much of it is left with good intentions. That matters. Intent is important, but intention does not stop offerings from becoming more waste littering the landscape. Researchers have increasingly begun referring to this phenomenon as ritual litter, exploring how modern spiritual practices can unintentionally damage the very places practitioners claim to honor. A study from the University of Hertfordshire in 2004 examining pagan votive offerings at heritage and nature sites noted growing concerns around environmental damage, contamination, and the long-term impact of non-biodegradable materials left at sacred sites. That phrase, ritual litter, might sound harsh. It is almost accusatory and dismissive of people's offerings. But no apologies can be made. It needs to be for it to make a difference. Because sacredness does not magically exempt something from having ecological impact. Plastic is still plastic, even when blessed under a full moon or offered with a sincere heart. The problem with modern clooties. Clootie wells or trees are one of the clearest examples of this problem. Traditionally, clooties are strips of cloth left at sacred wells or trees, often connected to healing rites. The cloth would usually be used to wash the afflicted body part and then tied to a nearby branch. As the fabric decayed, so too would the illness. A simple act of sympathetic magic that has been passed down for generations. Clooties are rooted in pre-Christian Celtic practices, with the earliest specific association linked to the missionary work of Saint Curetan or Boniface in around AD 620. The symbolism depended upon decay. Unfortunately, this seems to be an important detail modern practice often forgets. Historically, these cloths were typically made from wool, linen, or cotton, natural fibers, materials that returned to the earth in relatively short time. Modern clooties, however, are often polyester, nylon, acrylic, or mixed synthetic fabrics. They do not rot in the same way. They bleach in the sunlight, fray into microplastics, and remain hanging from trees for years or even decades, slowly strangling the branches of these beautiful guardians. This issue came sharply into public conversation after the cleanup of the famous Munlochy clootie well sparked controversy. Conservation volunteers removed enormous quantities of synthetic material from the site, prompting backlash from some visitors who viewed the ribbons as sacred offerings. Reporting on the debate highlighted how modern fabrics had accumulated in huge quantities, because they simply do not decompose in the way traditional cloth once did. And this raises an important question. If an offering actively harms the place it is given to, is it still an offering? It certainly is difficult to rationalize it as such. If it is, then surely it is an offensive one. Devotion in the age of plastic. Unfortunately, modern spirituality exists inside a culture of mass production and aesthetic consumption. That affects paganism and witchcraft also, whether practitioners like admitting it or not. One only needs to spend a short period of time on social media to understand how aesthetics has overtaken authenticity, the magic of trending overtaking true connection. Many offerings today are not items gathered in relationship with the land or the season. They are purchased objects. Factory-made spirituality wrapped in plastic packaging and shipped by giant discount apps from the other side of the world. Additionally, to the ecological cost, there has been little thought and little time invested in them. The rise of witch talk aesthetics and algorithm-friendly spirituality has only accelerated this trend. We chase quick dopamine boosts from online likes and the approval of strangers, often overlooking deeper realities found around us. Sacred sites become decorated like seasonal Pinterest mood boards. Synthetic ribbons bought in bulk online, glitter-covered spell jars, battery-operated tea lights, plastic flowers and animal figures, laminated sigils and letters, mass-produced deity statues left outdoors, non-native plants and food. Some offerings seem designed more for the perfect photograph than reciprocity. The problem is not beauty. Beauty has always had a place in devotion. The problem is disconnection. An offering should emerge from relationship. Effective offerings require attentiveness, awareness, reciprocal engagement, and respect. Not simply further capitalistic consumption dressed in antlers and crushed velvet, though antlers still have their charm. What the spirits of place actually need. Animist traditions are rooted in relationship with living landscapes. Like all relationships, it comes with obligations. If a river is alive, poisoning it while praying to it is absurd. If a tree is a being, driving coins into its living bark is violence dressed as reverence. If a sacred site has endured for thousands of years, coating it in candle wax and plastic ribbons is not honoring it. It is difficult not to wonder what the spirits think of these offerings. There is a difficult truth here. Sometimes the most spiritual thing practitioners can do is simply leave nothing behind. For many people, physical offerings feel emotionally important because they create a visible sense of exchange. We want to give something tangible. But modern spirituality appears to have narrowed its understanding of what offerings can be. A song is an offering. Poetry is an offering. Breath is an offering. Drumming is an offering. Time is an offering. Learning is an offering. Cleaning litter from a sacred place is an offering. Restoring damaged land is an offering. Planting native species is an offering. Not at ancient sites or sites that are protected though. Protecting waterways is an offering. something we need to be doing now more than ever. In an age of ecological collapse, restoration may be the best offering available to pagans and witches. Maintaining or improving the condition of a sacred site upon departure sets up the basis for a respectful and positive relationship. In fact, you go so far as to say it is the most powerful form of rebellion in this capitalist world. It is encouraging to see that this conversation is not happening in isolation. Across the modern pagan writing sphere, there is an increasing recognition that spirituality cannot be separated from ecological responsibility. Writers within the wider pagan, witchcraft, and druid communities have been calling for a deeper relationship with land that moves beyond aesthetics and into genuine care, reciprocity, and accountability. Authors including Sean Sibley, Adrian Harris, and Kevin Walsh have examined the significance of integrating ecological awareness into spiritual practice. This perspective emphasizes that the land should be regarded not simply as a setting for ritual, but as an active, living community in which practitioners engage. Spirituality should not be practiced on the land, it should be practiced with it. This shift is important. It moves us away from spirituality as consumption and back towards spirituality as a relationship, towards better practice. It is important to make this clear. This video is not meant as an argument against offerings. Offerings are an important part of our practice and have been around since we discovered worship. They are human and beautiful. They help build relationships between people, land, ancestors, and spirits. The problem is not the existence of offerings themselves. The problem is that we are not adapting our practices to the ecological realities of our damaged modern world. A few simple questions can change everything. Will this biodegrade naturally? Does this belong in this ecosystem? Could this harm wildlife? Would you still leave this here if nobody ever saw it online? Is what you are leaving native to this land? Are you giving it to the place or performing spirituality within it? If physical offerings are left, the following should be considered. Natural fibers only, untreated cotton, wool, or linen, spring water, locally appropriate herbs or grains, birdseed where ecologically suitable, biodegradable materials only, and most importantly, take responsibility for your offerings. If your ribbon will not naturally decompose, remove it before you leave. If your candle leaves residue, clean it. If your practice damages a site, change the practice. Tradition is not preserved by blindly repeating actions detached from context and improved knowledge. Tradition survives through relationships and adaptation. It is important to root our paths in history, but all paths must adapt or risk dying out. The old ways were never separate from the land. They grew from it. And if modern paganism truly wishes to honor the spirits of place, then perhaps our offerings should nourish the living world, rather than slowly strangling it beneath layers of synthetic materials and microplastics. This article first appeared on our blogging site, The Pagan Collective, your #1 place for fun pagan things. It was written by Kevin Walsh, author of Pagan Portal's Magia Loci, which is available from Moonbooks Publishing. Thank you so much for watching. Special thank you as always to our members. You too can become a member and gain early access to videos just like this one. Hit the join button for more information, subscribe for weekly videos, ring the bell for notifications, and we will see you next time.